Hi, my name is Nathan, and today we're going to do a full first story arc comic book review of House of Slaughter, issues number 1 through 5, brought to you by Rated Comics. Link in description if you wish to add any of these, if not all of these comic books to your comic book collection. Support the art, support the industry. Not to mention the spin-off of Something Killing the Children is going to be a Netflix show at the end of 2022, at least that's what the articles say. Timestamps will also be in description if you wish to go from issue to issue. Before we begin, if you like the content we're throwing up at any time, like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell notifications. That way it'll help Rated Comics to make more comic book reviews and comic book content like this. With that being said, let's get to it. In this issue, we begin with a deer in the woods, and we see Aaron Slaughter with teeth on his mask, establishing that he already killed a monster. I'll explain what the black mask and what the other masks are, because it was explained in Something is Killing the Children in issue number 20. A deer gets trapped in his bear trap, and the deer is obviously in pain, so Aaron removes his mask and tells the deer, "I won't hurt you. I know you're scared and pissed and hurt, but you're not a monster." So it goes into a little bit of his logbook, of his little bit of his history on how he's still properly filling out these logbooks of his hunt log. You know, calls back to Erica, how she just does it on the bar napkin or butt dials a phone call. And it's been 3 days with this hunt, and he thinks he's lost his touch, but he's quickly reminded by these claws on the tree right there and other claw marks that monsters still exist. And if there's anything that the House of Slaughter has taught him, is there will always be monsters, so there always must be those who hunt. And then we go back into a flashback of Aaron Slaughter 15 years earlier, where he's obviously saying some expletive and he's being chased by something, and he keeps telling himself, "Move your scrawny little legs," and he slides down the hill. We see these rustles in the bushes zooming past him on whatever's hunting him. He trips on the branch on the floor, and he stumbles, and he's looking around like, crap, like I'm screwed here, I'm going to die. So now these rustles going by, they're closing in on him, and he's like, "You survived worse." He's panicking, and he turns around, gets hit in the forehead, and he goes to the ground. He's like, "Please, don't kill me, don't kill me." Turns out it's these three girls in white masks, like, "You are dead, salty meat. Can we kill him now, Helen?" Helen is the girl in the middle. Now, notice how they don't have any teeth on their mask just yet. In issue number 20, it talks about in order to get your teeth, you have to kill an actual monster in the field from the training that you learned. So they're just messing with them, and this book clearly establishes how these girls just love messing with them. So they bully him, kick him. You know, do you know what black masks are for? Because Aaron's about to be a black mask with no teeth. And what black masks are is they hunt alone. And white masks, they hunt in packs. Now, in issue number 20, I love how they say white masks are the a-holes and they think they're tough stuff. But in actuality, can they really hunt a monster alone? Probably not. So they keep going at him, and he gets like a little smirk on his face. Like he's like, "All right, I love it here. You know, just get close enough. Get closer to me." So he knocks out a rope. This rope grabs these girls by the foot, and they start dangling upside down. He's like, "Well, so much for getting your hands dirty. I guess I won't get mine dirty." So the rope breaks, and and Helen escapes, and she flips down. She pulls out her knife like, "You're freaking dead." Jessica from The Difference on the Bullhorn Telecom tells you slain the monster. Stop. Prepare to leave the farm. Training is over. And even Jessica's like, "Damn, dude, I can't believe I set up Aaron like that." And Jessica always had a soft spot for Aaron. Cecilia, on the other hand, she's like, "You know, you keep calling him like this brother ain't nothing but a liability. And why do you even do that? Every time he loses, you throw a fit, and he throws a fit." And Jessica's defending like, "This is just training. The kids need to be able to walk if he's going to earn his teeth. And your kids are taking this training too far. My initiates, don't worry about my kids, Jessica. Worry about your kid, because you black masks are rare. We are the big dogs." Even though she didn't say that, but white masks, they view themselves as the big dogs. See issue number 20 for that, for Something is Killing the Children. It clearly explains it. Gary comes in, tells them, "Is everything okay, ladies?" And they kind of stop right there like, "Hey, we were just, you know, we cool now for this moment." As soon as Gary leaves, Cecilia warns him like, he's got to learn how to kill his own. How else are you going to expect him to earn his teeth? And that's how they earn their teeth, as mentioned. So we go to the Aaron in the future, how he's walking around with this totem, this owl, and this totem is what the spirits of these monsters are trapped in to kind of help them guide. And Aaron goes in, investigates a murder, and there's a bloodbath in there. And this little kid's like, my friend Charlie was in there and I tried calling him and our parents wouldn't believe us. So are you gonna go save my friend Charlie? And he's like, of course. And even the tone was like, lovely performance. You just lied straight up to that kid. Because they have to keep their society a secret. They have to keep their house of slaughter a secret from the public. We go back to Aaron 15 years ago when he got a black eye from getting beat up by those white masks and those girls. And Jessica comes in like, hey, you know, I brought you cake. You okay? He's like, what, you here to punish me? Keep in mind of that later. No, she's like, no, you did all right. You know what you could have done in the future? He's like, what? Get a better rope? It's like, no, just have some cake. Well, you know, you're hungry and lunch was disgusting today. So he gives him the cake, and Aaron, in his self-deprecating, tells Jessica, I don't know what you want from me, Jessica. I'm not strong or fast like that. And she's like, I know you're not, but you're smart and intuitive and different. And then she kind of like puts her head down like, okay, just give him the truth. You want to know why you lost today, Aaron? You were too anxious setting that trap, so your trap failed. You got cocky when you should have gone in for the kill. You were afraid, and so you died, Aaron. And that's a tough pill for Aaron to swallow. And Jessica tells her, look, I want you to live, but look, I want you to find the right balance. And until you earn those teeth, you know, we'll figure something out, man. Just eat your cake. He's like, yeah, but it's still frozen. So they have a touching moment, and they bond. And then all of a sudden, she's like, well, I got something to tell you. And we see this brother right here transferring from a different house of slaughter in New Orleans. And Aaron is pissed that he's getting a roommate. Now, what Erica did is she put the two beds together because they have two beds in the room to make it into one giant bed. And she tells Aaron, well, why didn't you do that? Well, I want to do it now. Too late. This is your brother right here. So now Jessica introduced Aaron to Jace Butcher from the Maison de Butcher in New Orleans, like a different house of slaughter, but in New Orleans. He'll be rooming with you. He's a transfer. Make him feel welcome. That's when Aaron claps back to Jessica and says, well, here's your cake back. I guess you were lying. You are punishing me. So now they ask him to give Jace a tour of the house. So Aaron gives him a tour of the house. Hey, this is the white room. This is the hallway. This is the library. These are the computers where the blue masks are. Call back to issue number 20 of Blue Masks do. They're like the prototype. They set up all the training regimen for the other masks. Then he introduced him to the silver masks, which creep him out. Keep in mind, silver masks are the ones that hunt specialty monsters like werewolves and flying dragons or something like that. And then we get a call, and then we get a shout out of Erica. And Aaron does express how he feels about Erica, that she's his younger sister. Don't mess with her. This is the house grounds. It's where we all intermingle, but I try to avoid this place. And this is a creepy portrait room. And Jason's like, whoa, what's up there? We ain't allowed to go up there until we have teeth on our masks. That's where the dragons keep. That's against the rules. He's like, no, I want to see it. No, you cannot. And Jace tells him and uses that bargaining chip, like, show me the dragon, or I'll tell Erica that you're soft on her. And in this house, you can't show your emotions because they kill monsters. You can't show them you're soft. So they go up the stairs, and then they overhear the dragon talking about Jace and his white mask and how they want him to be trained well. And there's some mystery about Jace and why he's really here, and it's not very, very clear. And then when he opens the crack, or he goes into the crevice to get a better look at the gossip or what's going on, the dragon looks up at him and is like, shit! Well, sorry, part of my language here, but that's exactly the reaction I would have when I get caught in 4K. Now, these girls from earlier, especially Helen's like, we have unfinished business, you little twerp, and they want to get down with it. But Jay steps in, stops her punch, pulls Aaron back. He's like, yo, that's my roommate, yo, so don't mess with him. And I got to leave a little meat on the bone with it for you guys because there's just a couple more pages here. But I love how not only does it show that Aaron struggles with the task at hand, but it shows that the people in his house, especially those three girls in the white mask, are not particularly fond of him, and they all view him as a liability instead of an asset. I think this book does a great job of delivering the story's visuals, both the line work and the color display and the colors it used to depict emotion. Great read. You'll have a hell of a time. Link in description if you want to get a copy of this book. We begin this issue with Jace in the forest. It's dark, eerie, and he lights up a fire to cook fish. His totem is a fox where his monster is inside. Aaron sneaks behind Jace with the sword drawn out. You know what he's about to do. Jace is surprised that the House of Slaughter sent Aaron to end him. Don't tell me they sent you, Jace questions. Aaron's like, of course they did. No more running, I have my orders. Jace turns around casually as if he knows Aaron's not going to follow through with this order. Aaron tells him to turn back around, and Jace tells Aaron he looks fancy in the suit. You fancy, huh? As he acknowledges and reflects on time and how many years it's been, we get a flashback of young Aaron in the car with his seatbelt fastened after what seems to be a car wreck. He wakes up to a man trying to rescue him. As Aaron tries to turn to look to his parents to save him the grief for later, the guy tells Aaron to look at him, follow his voice, and to move slowly as he tries to rescue Aaron. Aaron calls out to his mom and dad. He wakes up and it was a dream, or a nightmare, whatever you want to call it. He wakes up and looks over at Jace's bed and sees him talking in his sleep. After asking if he's okay, and he doesn't get a response, the totem, the fox inside his backpack, begins to speak in dialogue that's not understandable. Jace wakes up and asks Aaron, what's he doing? Your bag, and you were talking in your sleep, he responds. Jace is grumpy and tired from being woke up at 5 in the morning. That's my totem in my backpack, yo. You want to bring your totem and we'll have a little tea party? The brother's tone makes Aaron shrink in embarrassment and they go back to sleep. Don't touch my stuff, Jace adds. Inside the House of Slaughter, Cecilia gives a speech about tradition and upholding the order of the St. George. There will always be monsters, and there will always be those who hunt. It's their sacred oath that binds them to the mission, the order, and the order of the St. George, signified by the unholy bond between hunter and totem. Since Jace is a stranger transferred from a different house, he has to get initiated. That's kind of an eerie cult setting right there. Now we go to a flashback of earlier that day where Jace is sitting on the bench to his own self. Aaron walks up to him and apologizes for Jace for trying to go through his stuff earlier. He adds that it was messed up and what Jace did defending him from those girls in the last issue was pretty cool, and he promises not to go through his stuff again. Helen from the previous issue along with Cecilia and the other girls tell the two to stop fraternizing and for Jace to get ready for his initiation, or what they call the untethering. Jace tells Aaron to keep his space, and Aaron's reminded that the House of Slaughter is not where one makes friends. Back to the initiation, or the untethering. Either way, it doesn't sound good in that setting. Cecilia tells the crowd that there is a stranger in this house. If Jace is that stranger, she asks him to step inside the salt circle. They chant, stranger, stranger, stranger. Since Jace is sworn into another house, his bond means nothing to the House of Slaughter, so he must be untethered. Jace denounces his oath from his previous house and pledges his allegiance to the House of Slaughter. He looks at his totem, the fox, as the untethering begins. Here we get an understanding why it's important for them to control and dampen their emotions. By doing so, the monster can't use that against them. Kind of like It, the movie It. The more you control your fear around Pennywise, Pennywise can't feed off of that. It's cool that we see a younger Erica Slaughter and Aaron working together on trying to channel the monster spirit. Clearly they're distracted, or more so, Aaron's distracted, and Jessica lets them both know that last time they both unleashed a monster in the house. But Aaron's attitude and distractions throwing him off. What's throwing him off, you may ask? It's the event where Jessica gave Aaron a life or death choice from issue number 1. You can check out the review if you like. Playlist at the end of this video. And also, if you want to add this comic book to your collection, link in description as well. As they discuss and Aaron gets his mojo back, if you will, he relaxes, lets go, and goes into some kind of hypnosis trance, establishing this is how they unleash the monster from the totem and bond with it. Back to Jace's initiation. Cecilia has Jace scissors to untether his totem, and if he survives, his bond will be anew and to the House of Slaughter. He cuts the totem's neck. His monster emerges and he is pissed. He throws every little thing to knock him off his game, saying, "You only bound me when I was weak. I'm stronger now, boy. I survived and tasted your fears and chewed on your trauma. In other words, that ass is mine." Jace controls his emotions, tells the monster that it may be true, but you do not call me boy no more, and gets to work on this mofo. After slicing and dicing the monster he bonds with again, and now his allegiance is to the House of Slaughter. It's pretty cool how the other monsters try to convince Jace in this state of trance or whatnot that he's dead. They all said he's dead, and he overcomes that by his belief and will alone. Now Jace is Jace Slaughter. He is initiated. This time around, Jace is having bad dreams or nightmares again, and Aaron fights the urge to avoid a repeat of last time. When he goes to check on him, Jace grabs his wrist and Yeah, that happens. So 15 years later, as Jason's reflecting, it's funny how time does this to us, whether it's tethered to pain. Aaron ain't trying to hear all that. Aaron's like, excuse me, I did not take a bus across the entire Midwest for your passive aggressive comments over dinner. Damn it, I'm here to kill you. Jason's just kind of just making sly comments off comments. But then again, it's his totem trying to distract him for revenge for what happened 15 years ago when he had to get reinitiated and untethered and previously. But Aaron sees it and now his hunt is complete. He has to kill that monster where he left off in the previous issue. And that's where the book ends. I gotta say, I had a fun time reading this book. I'm not too sure about the back and forth transformation or the flashbacks, but I understand why that may have been necessary to fully grasp the entire story. Entertaining read. You'll dig this book. Link in the description if you want to add this comic book to your comic book collection. We begin this issue with the father telling a scary story to his daughter. The boogeyman stole away the little girl, never to see your parents again. Quit it, Gary, says the mother. Gary's like, what? My dad told me that story on my first night in the woods and I'm just fine. The little one is spooked and holds on to her mommy tight. I mean, if you experience camping out in the woods, telling scary stories is a rite of passage, right? Gary tells his daughter, all right, honey, I'm sorry. The woods aren't so scary after all, huh? Slop! A big Oscar-type monster decapitates his head. Mother and daughter can only look in shock. What's happening? I can't see anything, says the mother. The daughter can see the monster and she probably wishes she had it. Think of it like the It Factor. Children can see it, adults really can't unless they manifest a fear. You know, something like that. A dagger hits the monster in the eye. It's Aaron and Jace on the hunt, ready to finish off this monster. Not to mention protect this little girl from being the next monster's victim. This was the moment where we left off in issue number 2. In this panel, we go back to a flashback of 15 years earlier. Jessica meets with the old dragon to put a hold in the first hunt until her kids are ready. And obviously the dragon's like, hey man, the house crumbles without its loss. It is our customs that hold the foundation to our discipline and pillars the roof, and our vigilance that stands the sentry at the gates. As the other members of the house discuss plans, Jessica and her kids get to postpone, for their hunt or for a later time or until next summer until her kids are ready. But Jace is poised to begin his first hunt as a member of the House of Slaughter, according to Cecilia. I mean, white mask, they hunt in groups. Black mask, they hunt individually. And the red mask, I forgot what they are. They're more like the in-house innkeeper, so to speak. I did a review on Something Is Killing the Children, issue number 20. What each color of the mask and their rankings are. So when the dragon asks Aaron Slaughter where earn his teeth or else, now tell me, where is the butcher boy now? Meaning Jace, because he came from the house of Bouchard. They ran away from the house of Slaughter, and Cecilia's like, well, he's with his roommate, sir, Aaron. But don't worry, I have my eyes on him. And her eyes on him are her other white mask in training. And Helen is watching him with these two redhead girls, and Helen tells him, all right, let's go, we're on. Quit messing around. We have to keep our eyes on her too. Well, we're kind of messing around with these pigeons, so we have to keep an eye on these two. Well, Cecilia will have our heads if we lose them, so. And now we get to know the motivation between Helen and why she's bullying Jace, because she has to earn her trust with Cecilia. And she's jealous of Aaron getting all the attention from Jessica, but she wants that same attention from Cecilia. So the only way she can do that is to pick on Aaron. Not to mention she doesn't trust Jace because Jace is a legacy hunter, meaning he was born into this. So therefore, Helen doesn't trust him. Now when they go to try to locate the two, again, they lost him. And in frustration that they killed the two pigeons that they were playing with previously. So Jace and Aaron make their way throughout Chicago, running across the boundary line, making a jump. Aaron almost slips and fell. He gets rescued by Aaron. Obviously, they're building a connection with one another. Aaron's like, hey, if we go beyond the city's limits or beyond the river, it's out of bounds without a chaperone. Don't be a baby. I'm your chaperone. And then when Jace jumps across and hangs to get a quick view, he loses his grip and Aaron catches him. We need to be working together. And working together they are. I love this double panel where it shows them working together, fighting the monster, but also calls back to how it ties into the past. And it's really clever how this is done, tie in the past and the present, how Aaron's supposed to kill Jace, but in the meantime, it's like their bond and their love for one another, I guess you could call it that, makes the mission that much more tough to complete for Eren. And also, they got this big ass monster to kill in the meantime to protect this little girl. Kill me later, says Jace. I've been tracking this monster for weeks and it's bigger than I thought. And Eren's like, I'm aware that you tracked this monster, remember? And they argue back and forth how, hey, I know you're supposed to kill me, but you gotta kill me later, bro. But hey, there's this nasty monster we gotta be dealing with. Little girl, go ahead and put your mommy's arm down. I mean, she's in a state of shock, and usually that initial shock of holding your mother's arms after being cut off is just, I can't speak on that, but I imagine the shock level is going to make you numb to it because everything is happening so fast that you're not used to dealing with. So now we go back to the past and we get a flashback of how Eren and Jace bonded overlooking the city of Chicago. They outran everyone. It's a beautiful view. And then Eren asks him, well, how'd you end up in the streets of Chicago? I mean, you're a legacy hunter. I saw your ring. Aren't you like royalty? Meaning he was born into it. Jace is like, man, if that's what they say. And Eren's like, but were you on the streets or were you free? Why would you ever come back? I mean, once you're out of this life, why would you come back to it? Well, it's like you said, bro. It's in my blood. Cecilia found me and that's that. What about your parents? If they're hunters too, shouldn't you be at the butcher's? Don't call me that and don't call it that, bro. That's what Jace tells Eren. My parents might be dead, but they were more than that. They were killed by monsters. That's what happens to your parents. And Jace is like, yeah, you know, I gotta admit to it. What's the point of masking anymore? It was the monsters that killed my parents. And Eren's like, I thought so. It's always monsters. We're not supposed to talk about it, but I lost my parents too. Then we get to a backstory for me, for Eren telling Jace that for him, it wasn't the monsters, it was a car crash. And he didn't know who was at fault. No drunk driver, no running a red light. It was just an accident. But sometimes I find myself wishing it was a monster that killed him because that would almost make more sense, you know? So it's almost like Eren has some issues that needs to be closed on because he doesn't know the full story. At least with Jace, he knew monsters killed his parents, but he doesn't want to talk about it. Eren, it's like, I don't know why I'm here, and I have no closure with that. And then they share a kiss with not only the view to go on top of this. So that's their moment, that's their bonding right there. That's what brings them together. So Jace tells the little girl, what's your name? Katie. Well, you know what? The world may seem like it's over right now, but nothing makes more sense. So what I need you to do is promise me this. Promise you'll run, never look back. Take this, and when you run till you see the trees carved with stars, Katie, and then keep running past them, okay? And Katie's like, okay, and my family, they're gone, boo, but you're not. I'll take care of them while you go running for the stars and keep running. Now run and don't look back, right? And then when the little girl runs off and the monster's already killed and it's Eren and Jace left all alone, remember, Eren has to kill Jace. That was his mission, but why? I don't know. We don't know yet. It was just something that the House of Slaughter asked him to do. And they take off their clothes and they do a little hub style on the floor here in the woods. And that's how we end this series. Now, the drama between Eren and Jace is what drives the story, but there's also a part of me that wants to get more in depth with the order itself. But the small moments we see with the politics of the house, that was done really well, and that was very interesting. You'll have a fun time reading this book. I think it's definitely worth picking up and adding to your comic book collection. Then again, that sounds a little bit biased seeing that we're a comic book channel, but hey, I gotta speak up here, you know? Link in description if you wish to add this comic book to your comic book collection. Support the art, support the industry. With that being said, now we begin this issue with the double panel of a flashback in present time between Eren Slaughter and Jace Slaughter. In one panel, it's a flashback of him and Jace in the bed, and another panel, it's a flashback of Eren and Jace out in the field when Eren was ordered to kill Jace for whatever reason we just don't know yet. But some of these flashbacks seem confusing at first, but as you read along the issue, or at least as I've read along the issue, I was able to catch on to it. Now, what interests me here is in this panel where Jace tells Eren, then it's time I told you the truth. It's time I told you. What is the truth? That was the cliffhanger that keeps me hooked on this book. Like, what truth are you talking about, bro? So as Eren wakes up from his, dreaming about Jace in the past, he calls out for Jace, and as he wakes up, it's Jessica. And to his surprise, he is not liking it. And then in this panel, we see Eren holding a sword or a cane to Jace, like, you haven't changed and you naked. But I ain't trying to like what I see no more. I got to kill you now, even though I already got my post-nut clarity. What interests me here is Jessica knows that Eren has a crush on Eren. You're sleeping in his bed. It looks exactly what it looks like, Eren. Don't try to say otherwise. What? You mean we're roommates, Jessica? He's training me. In the French kiss, you two are teenage boys. What did we think would happen? So Jessica tells Eren, if Jay survives this ritual hunt today, you are going to end this relationship, because if not, they will kill you for this, Eren. And then thinking about it, Jessica is like, you know what? Maybe it's all my fault. I couldn't raise you to be a good liar, Eren, let alone a good hunter. God, if they don't kill you for this, they'll kill you because you're not good enough. And this is just like an emotional blow to Eren. Like, dude, I'm finally happy for once. I don't care about being like involved in the House of Slaughter like that. For once, I am not alone. And keep in mind, Eren's past in issue number 1 is he was an orphan boy when he got into his car accident with his parents. His parents died, but he was the only survivor still strapped to his seatbelt. Jessica further tells him there's a reason we suppress these emotions, Eren. There is a reason there are so few legacy hunters, and you're supposed to be one of them. And there's a reason Jace is the last on American soil. And Eren's like, well, stop saying there's a reason and tell me what it is. Are you saying I'm not good enough? And Jessica's like, no, because in our world, Eren, love gets you killed. Love only kills. And Eren's pissed. He's like, I ain't talking to you no more. And Jessica's like, look, Eren, you got to listen to me on this. There are monsters in this world and we have to slay them. So you must exercise anything that stops us or, oh, no, you ain't killing me. This ain't happening, Jessica. F you, Jessica. I'll run away before they kill me. And Jessica just tells him, no, you ain't. You ain't gonna run away because you're Eren freaking Slaughter, the boy whose life was saved by his seatbelt. Keep following the rules, Eren, because nobody escapes this house. And as long as I'm still around, as long as I'm still breathing, you're gonna survive so that someday you can make it all better. But I swear one day, you kids will be the death of me. And she leaves and closes the door on him. And that's some foreshadowing right there. So now we go into Jace. 15 years later, they're in the woods, and he's putting on his pants on, and he's like, damn, Fancy, you gonna let me dress before we get into this? And no, put it away or keep it off. No more distractions. I don't care. Is that what you think, Eren? And Eren's like, I think we're both simply doing what the house has taught us. I follow the rules, and you white masks play with your food. And that's explaining Something Killing the Children, issue number 20, what each mask and their ranks are all about. This hunt has gone on long enough. Draw your daggers, Jace, and let's get this damn thing over with. So he's gonna kill Jace, right? Then we get into a flashback of how Jace and his ritual going into the hunt with these girls in white masks because they have to earn their teeth and they're looking for the huge Oscar type mother and her children. So between flashbacks and panels, we see Eren telling Jace you're playing the bait. And he's looking for the Oscar type while playing the bait. Running, looking, hunting. He hears something. Jason's like, even after I told you everything back then, mean after everything you did. But these flashback panels between Jace and killing the monster and back in the woods and present time, it's very interesting. It makes it hard to understand for me at first. But after rereading it, I totally get it, and James Tynion is an awesome writer for this. Now, the imposing size of the Oscar type is just something to look at. It's just like a huge, look at this thing. This thing is huge. And Jace just goes after it. But between flashbacks of fighting the Oscar type and fighting Eren, we see that Jace gets injured and wounded on this. At least fighting the Oscar type. But in terms of Eren couldn't go through with it because Eren tells her, how could I change when I'm all alone? I did what they say and I survived, but how could I? How could I change? And Jace's like, dude, Eren, I'm so sorry. Come with me. I gotta show you that was one thing. So this is where the interesting and the best part of the story is to me. How Jace tells Eren how he came across the House of Slaughter. It wasn't by House of Slaughter's design, it was by his design. So he tells the story how it all starts in Mississippi long ago while he was a kid. It started on the river of his family history, starting back when America was the largest slave market. When he was a small boy, his father, Jean, arrived from Haiti, stolen from his family by a Frenchman fleeing revolution. But Jean, Jace's dad, was a monster slayer from the start, and the Shadows noticed this as they do. So they trained him, and they trained Jean. But as Jean, he met other orphans stolen from other families or butchered other villages. Soon enough, Jean even met the Butcher Rivers in the Slaughter's house up north. But he eventually founded families of his own, and Jace was born, and they trained Jace. But as the family and their ideas made other orders nervous because they were so good at what they were doing, and they were too valuable as hunters, soon enough, Northern Rivers returned, and he remembers that teeth, and that teeth is from the dragon, the leader of the House of Slaughter. And that's why he's in it, because he wants to kill the dragon. So it wasn't by design for Cecilia for Jace to be there. He was there on his own accord. He wants to be there. That's why he's there. So now Eren's in a tough predicament of, should I follow the House of Slaughter's orders or let my love do the killing and help him out with it? And there's more meat to this comic book, and I'm gonna leave some meat on the bone in case you do decide to purchase this comic book. Link in description, by the way. It's a lot of expedition, but James Tynion is an excellent writer. It's not boring. It just makes for compelling storytelling, helps build the character and their emotions between Jace and Eren and the House of Slaughter, and you'll definitely have a fun time reading it. But the meat of this comic book, in my opinion, is Jace's true motivations on why he's there and the predicament that him and Eren are in. With that being said, House of Slaughter, issue number 4. What you guys think of the comic book? Comment below, let me know. And also, if you like the content we're throwing up, you know what to do. Don't be shy and don't be stingy. Here at Rated Comics, we do awesome comic book reviews, comic book related content with the occasional comic book giveaway. Thanks again for watching. Until next time. We begin issue number 5 with interweaving timelines in House of Slaughter. But it all comes together and the payoff is gangster with this issue. Jace has something to show Aaron deeper in the woods as he follows Aaron. Aaron remembers that day in the past when Jace planned his attack. He also provides a background thread of narration talking about being a hunter, setting traps and luring the prey. And there are obvious parallels between Aaron hunting Jace and Jace stalking the dragon, which we're going to further get into that panel as we get into this issue, which is awesome right here. But what Jace has here is a surprise. He and Aaron reach the crest of a hill above, clearing the way for a camp full of kids, and Jace has an unexpected future to share with Aaron, and he'll give him everything that he desires later. But we go into this panel with the dragon and Jace having a tense conversation. At first, it starts off with the dragon congratulating Jace for earning his teeth, and Jace just kind of does a condescending tone like, "You're smaller than I thought. Older." We see Aaron running into the house because he knows something's about to go down. And the dragon is first just push it off, but he's very pointedness in his speech. And you certainly have grown. I've watched you, Jace. I know our house and your former have a long and storied past. Yet despite our differences, we always stood in duty and obligation to the cause. We kill monsters. Tell me, Jace, are you loyal to that cause? And you could tell the tension starting to build up right here. Alert! Alert! Something's gonna happen, says Aaron as he's running through the halls of the House of Slaughter. And Jason's like, am I loyal? Do I kill monsters? We see a totem in the other room with his head cut off, with an untethered Oscar-type monster about to do its thing later on or forming itself. Yeah, you can even say it runs in my veins, old dragon. The dragon already knows something's about to churn up. How about this? I brought backup, says Jason. He pulls out another totem as he switches his blade around. A totem? Child, don't you dare. Ah, this is satisfying AF, says Jason. You see, this totem is my father's, sold up by my grandma the day he was born. Then at the age of 6, he slayed a monster housed within the stitches of this totem. Now my dad is dead, but his totem, all the totems, and we see all these totems around the house are still alive. So tell me, dragon, what happens to your totem when you die and the monster inside comes out? I don't know, but we're about to find out. Aaron running through the holes to see what's about to happen. Please, he's got to come to Jace, but he's already too late. Slices open the totem and all hell breaks loose. Room number 1, Oscar-type untethered monster just gets out, ready to do his thing. Another monster 2 roars and is going to start causing distraction. And in the dragon's office, the other monster, which is released from the totem, looks like our monsters. Live on, says Jace. And all Aaron could think about is Erica and Jessica and the danger they're in. And Jace goes into more detail. As my family burned, they handed me their totems and told me to run. I've carried them for a long time. My name is Jace Boucher, grandson of the dual dragons and the last of the legacy hunters. This house, this dragon, and the hunters, it's killed my family. Today, House of Slaughter will fall, and all these monsters are destructive within. It's like Trojan horsing, but just all hell breaking loose. Jace looks at the dragons like, now where were we, old man? Old man already withdrew his sword and he's ready to throw down. Now, before we get into this, we go into this panel. We learn that Jace's camp grew organically as he saved children from monsters. Aaron declares they are a threat to the order because of their knowledge of monsters existing, which is the purpose of the order, the House of Slaughter, is to prevent the knowledge of kids knowing that these monsters exist. Jace knows quite well that the House of Slaughter has not spared any children since Erica Slaughter, but his mission is to save children so he can give them a place to recover and regain their childhood. Aaron wonders why Jace is showing him this, since he knows this is a threat to him, and Jace says he hopes Aaron will join them one day. And what's a callback is we see Charlie, the girl from previous issues. She's at the camp, and not to mention Charlie for the House of Slaughter issue number 1. He's here, so it puts Aaron Slaughter in a predicament because, you know, he's also a survivor himself, but he's soon joining the House of Slaughter. Back in the present time, the fight continues between Jace and the dragon. My house is not to blame for your great tragedy. I saw you, says Jace. Such plans with little thought. The damage done, the lives lost, all for a flawed childhood memory. I mean, for that right there, your memory can become contorted or faded from that many years ago. But then again, Jace is so strong-willed. Nah, I got vengeance. And you know what? Butcher's got to do his thing. I need blood because you killed my parents. In this panel, we see Cecilia, White Mask, and Something Killing the Children, issue number 20. We get an idea that White Mask, they don't like hunting monsters alone. They like hunting in packs. So she wakes up, what the hell is going on? And she sees this untethered Oscar type. And Cecilia's just looking at her like, what? You inside the house of slaughter and you ain't paying no rent? Some bullshit. But you know what? Helen, Cecilia still comes in. Don't worry, Cecilia. I'll save you. I'll collect that rent money. Time to write the check, Oscar type monster. Half. And not half that I'm paying you half for rent. Half like I'm cutting you in half. Jessica and Erica come in like, has anyone seen Aaron? What do we see Aaron doing? He's running through the house of slaughter. This Oscar type monsters are just going to ham, killing all the red mask, white mask, blue mask, green mask, whatever mask is in the way, because these are kids in training. Even though they get some nicks and cuts in the monster, he goes to work on them by chomping and crunching on them like Cinnamon Toast Crunch cereal on Saturday morning cartoons. Those of you that are old enough to remember that. But either way, he goes to work on them like Jack in the Box tacos at 2 in the morning. Dragon has enough playing defense and withholding back, and he says, enough! You are your family's son! I'll give you that. And he overpowers Jace. They were power-hungry fools, hope to succeed to create their own order when we each got our own rules and our code to follow. But when we arrived, well, guess what? The slaughter was already done, Jace. You want to know your family's true legacy? Uniting rival houses against one coming foe. They were separating their own. So what? It had to be done. You're just an injured pup against a thunder of dragons. It's a shame. And Jace is like, you know what? You're right. I might be an injured pup against 1,000 dragons. But guess what? Good thing I was born to slay monsters then. And the slaughter will fall. So he removes the gold mask jaw from the dragon. And you just see that blood popping. I'm thinking of that one character from Mad Max. Aaron comes into the room and Jason's like, Aaron, I told you, like he wants to tell Aaron to stay out of it. And he's like, Fancy, listen, like clearly he still has emotions for Aaron. And Dragon's like, kill this traitor, Aaron. That's an order. Stay down, says Jace. Remember, I'm the one on top here that gives you orders. Aaron tackles Jace. You listen, my family's dead because of you. Battle ensues between Jace and Aaron, but he doesn't want to get into it with Aaron. Aaron is not the enemy to Jace. Aaron is just a jump off, I guess. No, it's not a jump off. They truly do love each other. Aaron's like, I trusted you. You should stay out of this. I was out of this. I met you on that rooftop. We were free, Jason. They keep battling throughout the house. Well, that word free means something different to you and me. So they go at it. They battle. Jason's like, look, man, I got one totem left. Back off. There's more going on than you know. And I got to unleash this totem so this totem can destroy the house of slaughter within. I don't want to hurt you. Too late. I should have done this from the start. It's time to cut you out. Aaron goes in for the attack. Slice! Does that mean Aaron executed the fatal slice to Jace? No. In turn, it's actually Jace executing the slice to cut off Aaron's last 2 fingers. He pulled back. He couldn't kill Aaron. He could have killed Aaron, but he pulled back because of his love for him. And Aaron's regret, I should have never stepped on that rooftop with you. Never should have helped you. And then Jessica and Erica, Aaron's House of Slaughter family, get the hell away from my kid. It's too late. There's nowhere to run, Jace. My family's right here. Aaron faints from all the blood loss, and we see Jessica saying we need to prep him for surgery quick. But you know, he's starting to faint because he's losing so much blood. So now we get to understanding because of what Jace did, Aaron is forced to hunt Jace. When he finds Jace, Jace asks him, so are you going to stay? Are you going to help me with this camp raid future for the kids? Aaron's like, you know what? I made the wrong choice once. I'll make the right one today. If I do this, if I refuse my orders and don't return to the House of Slaughter, they'll hunt us to death. These children will only know danger. And Jason's like, we'll fight them together because these children will only know danger. Everything we've built, will be more at risk, and we have to protect them. But you know what? We'll do it together. Here's my family ring I'm putting on to you. It means something more on your hand now than it does on mine. So Jace gives him a hell of an offer. And you know what? So now it's a matter of, well, I hunt you, but I got to go back to the House of Slaughter with something because I'm ordered to kill you. So what do I do? And then we get this awesome panel to see what destruction's been done to these monsters. We know, I imagine a writer in this issue is basing our knowledge in something is killing children with these monsters, how much destruction and chaos, just death they could cause, and blood and guts. This is a House of Slaughter after all, a hand for a hand, and that hand is Jay Slaughter. You wanted your insurance, Dragon? It's all on the log. Now we're even, old man. they'll believe me. And that's how we end issue number 5 in the final arc of House of Slaughter. So this is awesome, man. I mean, Eren has to give the hand of Jay Slaughter to the dragon to show that he's killed him, but it's only buying him more time for Eren to figure out what they're gonna do and what's gonna happen going forward. Eren was a kid and he was rescued and his parents died in a car accident. So something about these kids being survivors of monster attacks in the House of Slaughter, not killing them, and with the exception of Erica Slaughter taking him in to train her to be a monster hunter, it has to hit a soft spot. It has to hit a spot. It has to hit home for Eren Slaughter, because it certainly does for Jace with his parents dying. And also, Eren does talk about in the beginning, the art of a good hunter is knowing how to set a trap. And I think the trap he's talking about is setting that trap with the dragon with the Jace's hand to keep him off bait, keep him off the scent for a little bit. Or is it for the trap where he's setting up with Jace when he eventually has to kill him? I don't know, but I think it's a great finale to the story that just allows us to get to know Eren better. I mean, in Something Killing the Children, I imagine they killed him off sooner than they wanted to, because who knows, maybe the writers didn't think that the comic was going to take off as it did. I believe we come away with a good understanding of the traditions of the House of Slaughter, or at least a lot better understanding. This is also a story about surviving trauma and how for some survivors there may be something akin to hope and help others. I thought this was a great issue. Now, in my personal opinion, I think House of Slaughter number 1 started off great. 2, 3, and 4, I mean, it kind of dipped a little bit, but it's James Tynion, the writer, so I wanted to give it a chance. But this issue number 5, it all came together, and it came together like a gangster. With that being said, House of Slaughter, issue number 5. What you guys think of the comic book? And also, what you guys think of the entire first full story arc of House of Slaughter? Comment below, let me know. Link in description if you wish to add any or all of these comic books to your comic book collection. And if you like the content we're throwing up, you know what to do. Don't be shy and don't be stingy. Here at Rated Comics, we do awesome comic book reviews, comic book related content with the occasional comic book giveaway. Thanks again for watching. Until next time.